So last night was your first experience watching one of your films in 3D, right?
Yes, in fact, I had never seen the complete film in 3D. I had seen part where we were in doubt, was this correctly rendered, and I saw something like half an hour and so, but never the entire film, so it was the first time. The rendering, the digital print, so to speak, arrived only 15 hours before the screening. So it was finished just last week.
Right. Did you worry that you weren't going to make it in time?
No, I never worry about this because I always deliver. In fact, we had delivered to Toronto a print, a digital rendering a week ago, but it didn't have color corrections and a few things in it yet, but I knew we were on the safe side, we could present something. So I wasn't nervous at all. And of course, projection stopped twice, but it's fine. It was the very first 3D screening in the house, and we know now what went wrong.
Right.
Some cooling system which I turned off.
Right.
I have no experience with it yet, and I don't have experience with it yet either.
Right. You said a minute ago you were worried that the fact that the film at that point is total silence confused the projectionist.
No, it was not. It was a vague suspicion because it coincided that at the two completely silent moments, the systems shut down. Yeah. But it's unusual because you do not have silence, complete silence in movies nowadays. Of course, there's beautiful music and commentary and people talking to us, but there's a moment where one of the lead scientists asks for silence. There's some chatter among the scientists. Can we all listen to the silence? Because when it's completely silent, you can hear your own heartbeat. It is so silent. And when it all falls silent, the projector shut off. And I thought there might be some sort of an inbuilt emergency brake, as if the sound system had failed.
Right. You talked about last night how, as a child, you saw some of these drawings in a book and were fascinated. I mean, what was it about those images that so captivated you as a child?
Well, it was not the images per se that fascinated me so much. I mean, I was 12 years old and had seen just a book on Paleolithic cave paintings on a book cover. And it was one image of a galloping horse. And I was so fascinated about what was in the book. And I thought it was the only book because I hurried to earn money as a ball boy in tennis courts, and I hoped nobody else would buy this book and nobody else would discover it. So over 6 months of earning money until I had the $28 or so, over this time there was a build-up of curiosity and excitement, and the excitement of seeing these images in a book was completely overwhelming. And in a way it was dormant in me all my life. Mm-hmm. So nobody needed to persuade me to try to film in Chauvet Cave.
Mm-hmm. So when you first went into the caves and saw those images in person, did it affect you in a way you weren't prepared for? I mean, was it beyond what you had?
It was beyond what I expected. Of course, I had seen photos of some of the famous paintings in there. But the surprises started right away, and they were not expected because, number one, I had no idea how beautiful the cave was. It's like Alice in Wonderland with crystal cathedrals of stalactites and stalagmites, and so the beauty of the cave was completely stunning. Second, what I didn't expect was the amount of bones in the cave. 4,000 bones, bear skulls, and bones and vertebrae, and partially overgrown with calcite because water dripped on them for tens of thousands of years, and all of a sudden you have a porcelain sculpture of a bear skull with a thick layer as this of calcite, like porcelain over it. So two things that I didn't expect at all. And only much deeper in the cave the paintings start. And it's a very big question, and nobody has an answer to it. In prehistoric times, when the rock slide did not seal off the entrance, there must have been light into it, fairly deep into it, let's say 300 feet into the cave. There must have been still some dim light from the entrance. But the painters painted the horses or the lions or the mammoths so far back where it was complete dark. Why did they paint these images in the darkest part of the cave? Mm-hmm. So you had to have fires to illuminate it, you had to have torches to illuminate it. Mm-hmm. And what is so stunning is you see swipe marks of torches. When a torch burns down, you rekindle it by swiping it, like cutting the wick of a candle or so. And with these tiny fragments of carbon, charcoal that fell down, you can do this radiocarbon dating. And we know this torch was swiped 28,000 years ago.
Mm-hmm. It strikes me that you go into the cave to make a movie, and the questions like, why did they come back here in the darkness? I mean, it's sort of, that's the focus of the movie, is the questions that you find yourself asking once you're inside there.
Sure, but we do not have any answers. We have only very partial answers. We can reconstruct what we have today, and we can date certain things, and we can establish the footprint on the ground, which must be the footprint of, number one, with all probability a boy, and all probability 7 or 8 years old. We can establish that. And we can establish the footprint next to him is the footprint of a wolf. And that's all we know. Now my question is, did a hungry wolf stalk the boy? Or did they walk side to side as friends? Or did the boy walk there and the tracks of the wolf came 5,000 years later? We'll never know. You cannot date that. You cannot establish it.
Right. So now you were very limited on your time actually shooting in the cave?
It was rigorous, the constrictions. We had 6 days, on 6 consecutive days, but only 4 hours a day. And we were only allowed to bring into the cave whatever we could carry in our hands. We would be confined to a metal walkway which was 60 centimeters wide. You could never step off it, never touch anything. And inside the cave we had to reconfigure our camera. We had to build our camera for closer shots, for example, because the eyes have to move closer to each other, and they even squint slightly when you are really close. So that was a real challenge.
Right.